Let's get wild. Let's get crazy. Let's go bananas. Come on, cameraman. Let's go. Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. It's time for another Generation 1 Transformer review. And as you can see, he's pretty well excited to get this on the road. So let's get going with the Generation 1 Decepticon Aerial Assault Wildfly. Because frankly, at the end of later on in this video, we got something rather impressive and unique to show off for Wildfly, so let's get this ball rolling. Wildfly was released in 1989. He was part of the Pretender Monsters subline, along with the earlier shown Ice Pick, who was shown last year during Pretender Month, and another one of his buddies will be shown off during this year's Pretender Month. Wildfly would be discontinued in 1990 when the Transformer toy line just before the toy line ended here in America, and we did not get a replacement for him. As Wildfly is one of the Pretender monsters, he does have a different shell than what is normally accustomed to for many of us, as we're more used to the two-piece unit that snaps together front and back. He instead has this, what they call lifelike rubbery skin, which is pretty solid and feels kind of icky after all these years of air exposure. For the moment, we're going to set Wildfly's shell aside, try to restrain him for a moment before he does go totally bonkers on me, and we'll take a look at the robot himself. As you can see, like Ice Pick before him, he is very, very small. I mean, right here, here's my thumb right next to him, so you can see he is very, very small. And that really is about all to tell about him. Articulation-wise, he's not too bad for a Transformer of his size. I mean, you can rotate his arms. His wings on his backside prevent them from going all the way, going full 360, but you do get quite a range of motion out of him for it, so that kind of makes up for it. And you can bend both of his knees at the same time, since it's more used for transforming him, but see, you can get him down on his knees, and he does stand pretty well. Now maybe all we need is some cover for him to stand behind, and there we go. Not too shabby. Not too shabby for a late line Transformer toy. Now, why don't we go ahead and transform him into his alternate mode. Start, of course, by getting rid of his gun. Then we fold his arms down to the side here. Take this red piece on his chest and fold it up so it's in front of his face, not covering his head entirely. And then we kind of rotate his legs back, and at the same time kind of rotate the monster feet out so they don't ram against his arms. And there you have it, his monster mode. Yeah, folks, I'm not really digging this mode here. I mean, the monster head only just acts like a mask on it. I mean, turn him to the side, you can plainly see his head. The arms, like on many of these toys, the biggest complaint is that the arms are visible. So, yeah, and the little tiny wings, I mean, seriously, how is this dude getting off the ground here? I mean, that's just pathetically ridiculous here, folks. But we'll see if he gets any better, since he is a pretender. we can hide him inside the shell. Let's see if he gets any better that way. To put him in the shell, what you do is you fold down the head. Thank goodness for that. And you rotate up the little feet. There apparently is just enough clearance for them to get just under his fists. Like that. And we get the shell back in here. Turn the shell around to the back side, and we just put him in there. Don't have to force him. Once he's in there all the way, then next we're going to take the back plate here, and you just insert it in best you can. Sometimes it takes a little effort to work this puppy in. I have to force the monster feet up a little bit so that you can get it. Yep, you got to push them up a little bit. Get that on there real nice. And we can attach this fist onto the post up here. And we can mount his gun back here, and he's got like a little turret cannon. And unfortunately, because of how wide the shell is, you can't see any of it. That's one of the disappointments I have with these. I mean, yeah, it's great you can store everything here on the back side, but I mean, you can't really see it, so how is it really that effective? I mean, yeah, he is a flyer, so maybe he's flying around here like Superman and swoop down and bam, 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 fly away like that. Maybe that's how it works. Or if he had enough brains or insanity, this could probably function like a turret. It does turn pretty well, but it will come out pretty easily as well. Supposedly, this is also another cannon, so he's got at least 2 guns while he's flying around. Dun, 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 dun. Nah, doesn't work. Let's now move on. Moving right along here, let's take a look at Wildfly's accessories, starting with the Pretender shell, which as you can see is horrendously ugly and looks pretty stupid, especially in these colors. On the back side, as you can see, it has the gaping hole that he fits in. And like I said, he also feels the rubbery skin after all these years kind of feels a little tacky. So he's kind of, ugh. I hope that's amusing all of you. And then next what we have is what is called the rear panel. You can see it's got some little tabs here on both sides. Get it out of the shadows, dummy. Which you'll have to watch for to make sure they aren't broken. And of course, on the other side, it's supposed to give this tough-like image, but doesn't really work. And what you have is a robot hand / cannon. Since Wildfly is the left arm of Monstructor, it would be intended that this is the left fist, but there is no thumb on either side, so there really is no way to determine which way it is. So it doesn't really matter. He can be the right arm or the left arm, really, but the official instructions show him as the left arm. And of course, it's got this cannon protruding from it, so that when it's mounted on his backside, it can be a cannon. An extra gun for the shell. And then, of course, we have his photon rifle. Which isn't too bad, considering. I mean, got a nice little foregrip here, and a little sight to see by. And it looks the same on the other side. Like all of the Monstructor guns, you can see how it measures up against my finger. It is very tiny. So do be careful when looking for loose samples of this toy. Now, as we get ready to move on, hurry up, get to the good part. I'm warning you, I'm getting there. Get back in line. We now have his card backer. But as the added bonus that our little friend here is so anxious for you to see, I also have this card backer from Italy. And we'll get a closer look at it in just a moment. But right now, let's look at the American one real quick. As you can see, since the previous owner basically cut out very carefully, it's all intact. So this is a rare, rare sight, my friends. Turn it over here to the back side, and you can see up here, there's there's him and his buddies. A very poor drawing of the shell. Here, top side, we of course have the barcode and the robot point, despite the fact that by now, most, if not all, the offers had long expired. Set includes, and shows Wildfly's shell and robot. And over here, it has the gun and the cannon / hand. And stickers. It does not show the rear panel. And then we move on. It shows you how to arm him. Like that, it's pretty difficult. And then how to transform him into a monster. And then down here, how to hide him. And on here, how to put him all together as in the shell. And notice in here they label the cannon as fit dual backpack cannon / robot hand. So, leaves you to wonder just what in the heck were they thinking with this thing. And then lastly, how to put on his minimal amount of stickers. And down here at the bottom we have his tech specs. It's done partially in purple to show he's a Decepticon, and it has a picture of the shell, the robot, and the alternate mode. The very same ones that were featured here on the front of the package. It gives his name as Wildfly, and his function is aerial assault. His motto is, strike fear into your enemy and you've won half the battle. Almost leaves you to wonder if this is a play on the common catchphrase of G.I. Joe, where they always said, knowing is half the battle. But of course, they never tell you exactly what is the other half. A flying fury of flashing fangs and tearing talons. He's a one-robot wrecking crew who has been known to reduce high-rise office towers into rubble within seconds just for laughs. Also gets his kicks snapping wings off commercial airline jets. His enclosed creature robot is armed with a high-powered, laser-sighted photon rifle for intense air-to-surface assaults. That is pretty corny. Over here now, we'll take a look at the tech spec grid, and it's done in the new style that they did in 1989, where they went with a horizontal line graph, so that they no longer had to make these red decoders anymore. It gives his strength as 6, his intelligence is 5, his speed is 6, his endurance is 7, his rank is 6, his courage is 8, his firepower is 6, and his skill is 7. So above all, he's pretty average. I mean, he's only got one that's back further and one that's ahead, but otherwise everything else is either a 6 or a 7. So, you know, you move this one up to here, and it gives you another friggin' 6. You move the extra one up here back to there, and it gives him another friggin' 6. on the tech spec. So it's kind of, he really doesn't have anything going for him. It's pretty boring. But for some excitement, let's compare him. Let's compare the card backers here. You guys go sit out of the way here so we can get these in shot together so everybody can have a look at it. Detach the camera from the tripod and let's have a good look. As you can see, there's more gold color on the American tech spec, and card backer, excuse me. But the Italian one goes with more of a sickly green shade. And what can I say? I kind of like the ugly green color here as opposed to the gold, especially when we've all come to know the gold plastic syndrome that some of his buddies in this toy line suffered from later. So anything to make us forget that would be nice. As you can see down here, a Decepticon is called a Destructor in Italian, and his name is Vampiro. I know it's kind of hard to see since the package being torn there, but we can turn it around and you can see there that it does label it as Vampiro. Now here on the back, as you can see, things are more or less exactly the same as what it is on the American. I mean, most biggest differences is that there's nothing up here on the tech spec to tell you, on the robot points, excuse me, that tells you of saving them for premiums. So it leaves you to wonder what they might have been doing differently there. I'm also going to look in close here for the robots. You can see all of them have different names compared to their American counterparts, with the exception being the combined unit of Monstructor. We'll kind of pan over here so that you can look at how it is. This is indeed a very unique find for this collection. Certainly wish to send out thanks to my brother for buying it. Of course, this guy's his anyways. I'm just borrowing it for the use of this channel. For those of you who might be interested in seeing his handiwork at convention visits, search here on YouTube for Cyclonus150, and you will see his video. He will be directed to his channel, where he shows the ongoing various conventions. Something of an interesting sight. Now we get down to my thoughts. What do I think of him? Well, plain and simple, I don't like him. Wildfly's tech spec describes him as basically being a character that's evil for the sake of evil. And unfortunately, various media projects have shown us that characters that are like that are very boring. They're uninteresting, and they're just plain out and out pathetic. The fact that he does all of this terror just for fun suggests that he's probably mentally unhinged. Since his intelligence score comes up as 5, it's hard to say if he's actually trying to come off as slightly intellectual or as extremely stupid. The More Than Meets the Eye guide goes even further with it and says that even some of the more crazed and depraved Decepticons are put off by his behavior, so he isn't even liked by many of his colleagues. getting down to the way the toy is, I find it hard to like the Pretender monsters. I mean, yeah, they're a nice addition to a Transformer fan's collection, especially if you want the combiners, you're eventually going to have to consider getting them. But I really don't like how they were done. I mean, the smaller robots, yeah, that put them at a cheaper price point than what many of their other toys were at the time, but even the combined result still makes them smaller than Devastator. So it's that's not even acceptable. The lack of articulation on him doesn't help his matters, and the fact that his monster mode, just like I had mentioned earlier with Ice Pick, you don't even have a clue as to what in the world it's supposed to be. How is he a robot in disguise, as the old tagline used to go for the toys, if you don't even know what in the world he's supposed to be? The Pretender shell I find horrendously ugly. I mean, I don't think there's any colors that would make this thing look better. It's ugly. The rubbery material has this tendency to feel tacky and icky after all these years of air exposure, so that's unfortunately unavoidable. So, ranking this toy, I would put him in the bottom tier. I mean, unless you're going after him to get all the combiners, he's really not worth seeking out. And that concludes my review of the Generation 1 Decepticon Aerial Assault Wildfly. If you liked the video, please thumbs up it here on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button down below if you haven't already. Like this video and share your thoughts down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think of Wildfly. This is Sparkster1701 saying I will catch you all later.